Is Chris coming on?
Yeah, he might be. Come here, give wifey. Come on in here and give me my kisses before I get busy. Mm.
Hi, y'all.
You wave at Ashley.
Hi.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
There's Mr. D Walk right there.
Hello, sir.
Good evening. How are you?
Good. I listened to that interview. And I immediately cussed. Because I was like, if she don't shut the fuck up. Because I was asking Dick, I said, what the fuck is she talking about? Like, she's so annoying.
Yeah.
And then like I'm big on respect. And I was like, I don't like how she keep disrespecting him. Like, yeah. I ain't like that. I wasn't look, I was iking her verbally.
Oh wow.
Shut up, bitch.
Shut up, bitch. Hey, listen, you gotta speak the language that's understood.
I understand, but look, I commend you because you were wonderful in that interview.
Thank you.
So I was like, ooh, he got some patience, baby. That I need like a drop of it.
Just a little taint.
I ain't got it. I'd have threw the mic up in her face, like, girl, fuck this. You wasting my time.
And listen, and then you know what I would have become? I would have become every stereotype of what she experienced.
True. Right. You would have let her win. Yeah.
Look, that's why I tell Vic, let me go thug. Let me go Tupac.
Oh, my girl cousins call me though. My girl calls me. What is this bitch on?
For real?
Where's she at?
Where's she at?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, last
my
night
girl
I was telling
cousin.
Vic, I said, nah, man, she couldn't have talked to you like that because I'd be like, girl, I will come and see you.
No, literally.
Yeah.
I will come and see you.
Now y'all know why I'm so calm.
About this one.
Because I don't need to get out of bounds.
This my boo-boo. All right, I'll let y'all do y'all thing. It was nice seeing y'all.
I'm gonna give me somebody to come in my video and just I'm gonna ask, hey babe, what's up, babe? Hey babe. Oh no, I'm about to talk with Vic and Ash. Yeah, babe. Yeah, just whatever you fix, baby. You know I love it. Just put your finger in it. Mm-hmm.
Hey, look, it's happy over here, man. You know what I'm saying? I got the right teammate. You know what I'm saying? That supports what I do, and it makes it easy to stand on business when you got the right, you know what I'm saying, foundation on stuff. You know, and like one of the things that we was talking about during the course of that interview that we're gonna finish up is that you out here by yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't expect a man that doesn't have any kids, that doesn't have a wife, to have the same definitions of protection, you know, like all of those things that was a heightened conversation. Like you're not worried about nobody but you and your art, you know. So you got to be careful of who you're asking certain questions. Meaning, like if you wouldn't ask a bald person about wigs. Well, you might, depending on
you might, right?
But you definitely would talk to a bald person about growing locks.
Right.
You wouldn't talk to a mechanic about what goes on at a bakery. So you got to know your audience and know who you're talking to, you know, because it confuses things for the other person. That's what I think. But in that time too, it's on you to do your due diligence too on how far left or right some things could go. You know, it's on you to know what the agenda is too, you know. And also the biggest thing that men need to be more comfortable with doing is saying no.
No.
Because I did a piece on
tell me no. I'm a listen.
Yeah. I did it. We have to open our mouths more. Like we really need to take pages out of playbooks of women. Women don't have no problem with saying no. Women will quickly tell you, no, I don't want to do that, and don't even think twice. Won't explain why or nothing. I just don't want to do it. That's just it, you know. And where it's like, I did an episode called "Can Men Say No to Women?" And you see so many men was like, man, you got to go do this, you got to go do that. And I hope that the women, you know, take from that there's some men that absolutely struggle with that for a bunch of different reasons that they don't know. But eventually, when a man put his foot down, we don't really have to care how the other person felt because they don't have no problem. The women don't, and telling us no. We need to learn from that.
Yeah.
And we also need to say, nah, I don't want to answer that because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't apply. Or before you even do that, say, are you prepared to accept? Are you prepared to accept my answer, even if you don't like it? Even if you don't approve, are you prepared to accept my answer? Because a lot of people are not prepared to accept what they're being told.
Right.
Then that's what I saw a lot of, you know what I'm saying, in this interview. You know, that's the way into this conversation or whatever. Ashley, what do you want to say before we get going and, you know, and we finish dissecting this thing?
So for me, no is boundaries. No is standing on who you are. And without boundaries, you don't identify yourself as separate from this person, right? You don't identify your individualism. And I've had a lot of yes men because I needed to validate that I was intelligent. I think a lot of women, their esteem comes from how much they know, but they really don't know as much as men. And I'm just going to say that. So a man telling me no is really beneficial to my health and my healing. So it's not even just about, boundaries, but it's actually about if you really want to hold her accountable, right? Or just give her some sort of space, and not just this woman we're going to see in the interview, just in general woman. You have to be able to give her that structure and that order for her to see herself. Because in saying yes, you're adapting her viewpoint and her perspective and her world. And you're not really allowing her to see your perspective because your no isn't no, right? It's yes, because I want to kind of tread lightly and I don't want to cause any riffraff. But no, cause that motherfucking riffraff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Listen, riffraff was caused. Like it has been very disruptive. She's unfollowed me. Like it has been very. I was her 100th episode. And
oh wow.
Like it was all like I'm attached to her. She can't let me, like, I mean, I'm attached to her history of doing this. And I stuck around because I knew it's like my intention, my being objective was to get this episode on the air because I knew that it was going to be able to help somebody be held accountable. And everything that you all are saying about just what you just shared right now, I'm very, very clear of. I'm glad you're able to see it, and you see it and saying something about it, and can be utilized as an example going forward to say, like, basically, I took a beating unnecessarily.
Yeah.
I get it. So even in the idea of me being a martyr and how I don't appreciate and don't really rock with martyrdom, I also knew that it was an opportunity for other men to see that, to be able to talk about this situation, because it doesn't get documented often. It's the same reason when I filed charges against a young lady two different young ladies, as it relates to domestic violence and domestic abuse against me. I could have dismissed everything, but I needed the record to show. I needed there to be evidence to show that this happened, because a woman can say anything and is believed. But no matter what she says, we know what that tape looked like. I stood there and took a bludgeoning. She's talked to me. Nobody talks to me that way. Nobody. She talked to me like she didn't think she would get punched in the motherfucking mouth.
Okay. Yep. Like,
right?
Regardless of whether she liked the answers or the exchange or not, I didn't see any type of cause for the way that conversation went back and forth. You know what I'm saying? Like I've seen some interviews that was like kind of like, you know, somebody ask a weird question. You know what I'm saying? Like we've seen Charlamagne the God ask some weird questions on the Breakfast Club. And it's like, why was that? Where
did that come from, bro? And he's been chin checked about it too.
Yeah,
like, you know what I'm saying?
Like, down on him in the street.
Like, between that and even like some comedians chin checking him. And so I also knew that like that was even let's do one. Let's finish the video, because I know we can talk. Let's finish the video.
You know what I'm saying? You are absolutely right, sir, because we will have time.
We got Miss Ashley Marie on this phone.
Yeah, here we go.
How big his room is right now.
Don't nobody care about that. We just care about very simple. You take something very simple and complicated. This is a whole husband right here. Sometimes his wife might work and she has to be with the kids and not be with him. So does that mean he's not protecting her? Because God forbid she goes out alone.
Right. We're going to make room for that. But be in a space to just be understanding that the room that we may be in may not be as big as you wanted. You may not have the house that you wanted, or the house that you had may need to become a little more efficient because we're looking and providing in a different type of way. So don't judge the man by the results of how big his room is right now.
Don't nobody care about that. We just care about very simple. You take something very simple and complicated. This is a whole husband right here. Sometimes his wife might work and she has to be with the kids and not be with him. So does that mean he's not protecting her? Because God forbid she goes out alone.
Right.
It needs to get to a point where
what I'm saying, he's made provisions just in case he's not there. He's keeping them protected. I'm sure he's got something monitoring going on.
Yeah, but she should be allowed to go to the gas station.
Yes.
She should be allowed. So how do we fix that to where there's conversations about harassment?
Well, I don't think you. So one is a man's mindset is not to fix something that is not broken. The way that system is set up was not with us in mind. So we can't fix a system. We have to make sure that we're okay with each other because we know how this system works. I'm not saying it's okay for a man to degrade you because of what you're wearing, but I'm also saying the system ain't set up like that.
I don't need a system at Quick Trip, bro. Just don't talk to me and check this nigga. It's real simple. This is real simple. I don't know what you're saying. Just, hey, I don't need a system when I'm walking outside of you. As a woman, I can check another woman. I ain't got no problem saying, hey, you need to turn down, sis. So y'all let y'all nuts drop and do the same thing when you talking to your fellas. Quit harassing these women. It ain't complicated. Quit harassing these women.
Listen to what I'm saying.
Leave her alone. Hey, dog. I get it, but let her make it. It ain't even got to be confrontational. Let her walk to her car.
I'm very clear about what you're saying.
Let her walk to her car.
I'm the type of man do you believe I'm the type of man who does that? I'm asking, do you believe I'm the type of man?
I would say yes, but the way you're, hold on, but let me explain why. Okay. The way you're describing why other men wouldn't get involved and how you keep going back to if you had somebody with you. A man can't always be, number one, I'm single. Yes. So what I'm gonna do, call you every time I want to go to the store to make sure that nobody bother me? That's crazy.
I'm saying have a man who has provisions for you.
So you're telling me go get a man to make sure that nobody bother me while I'm at the store. I'm single.
So hear me.
Like you.
I know this is what I'm saying, but my movement in the space of being single in public is different than yours. And I recognize the difference, even if I don't agree with the difference.
I feel like there's some fear.
No.
You want somebody to love on you.
No.
This is the problem this is where I had an issue. Like, we don't lead the same lives. We don't have the same risk. Right. So we don't see the threats to women that women want us to see. So we're not walking outside looking around saying, well, I hope I don't see a woman getting accosted by a group of strange men, and also too, everybody's got threats to their environment every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. Black men are more susceptible to have a negative encounter with the law, but we're not running around here screaming black women don't protect us. You know what I'm saying?
I think she's very codependent, and it boils down to that. She wants men to do for her what she doesn't do for herself. Even when you said, because she's like, oh, am I supposed to call my man every time I go to the grocery store? I would. Baby, you need anything? What you want? Like, she's not even vibrationally kept wifey, anything. So she's definitely going to be more susceptible to people. It's not just about an outcome world. People, this is an energetic thing that we're in. We're in energy all the time. So you're off-putting things that you don't have to verbally always say. You know what I'm saying? So she's like, oh, harassment. I don't get harassed. I don't get harassed on a daily basis, even a little bit. Even if a guy is in the store, because, I don't live in a neighborhood that's, high income, whatever. I got some thugs and crackheads and stuff on the corner sometimes. But I carry myself very respectful. They won't even dare go there. Because even if they say, oh, how you doing? Or hey, beautiful. Hello. Because I don't got to be combative.
Just acknowledge it.
Just, okay. And keep it pushing.
Yeah, because if you walk out with a negative mindset, then you're going. now you're looking for it, and you can find whatever you're looking for.
Always. Yeah. It's very challenging to move together when you're competing. Every situation I presented, everything that was presented to me, I had a response for because I had something in mind already. I had been prepared to I've experienced, if I'm honest, I've experienced seeing a man harass a woman and saying something and it becoming more of a problem for me. And she's good. Now I gotta watch my back in the streets because now this dude who's feeling very sensitive because his woman has rejected him. Another man has now come and presented a situation where we asked him to kind of check him, and now he's retaliating. Right? Those are real situations. Is it worth it to do that? I'm not saying yes or no. I'm also saying I do my body, my choice. At some point,
Yeah.
at some point, I get to decide how I move in space with you. And I'm saying that it's possible that they're if you're around people doing this to you all the time, why you keep going to the same place?
Right.
And that's the same question I would ask my niece and my nephew. If you have your favorite car and you see a pothole and you see it, you driving up on it, are you gonna run through the pothole and get mad because it's there and say that somebody should have put a sign up and somebody should have done this? No, you're not going to do that. We make decisions frequently with ourselves in mind based on what our super objective is. If my objective is to get home, and I share with her that being in, I mean, come on, man. Like that's what I was saying about even particularly being from Dallas and the stories that I've shared and written is that it's different than a LA. Your things are identified by colors, neighborhoods, right? That's not the same as in Dallas. In Chicago, it's very segregated, and you also got like very cultural neighborhoods and communities based on geographical and cultural norms. That's not like that in Dallas, right? In New York, you got a block with thousands of people, right? It's not like that. Atlanta's still not like that. Dallas is like no other place. So even the mindset of what safety looks like in Dallas, it looks like telling Martin Luther King, "Don't come here," because we're doing it on our terms and our way. But if you compare it to what you've experienced before, which is essentially what I was saying in that conversation, if you compare the experience you had with one man to another man, you're gonna lose because it's two things that are not the same will never be two things that are different will never be the same.
Right.
It does not exist. So that's from a gender perspective. Yes, I can hear you talk about being harassed. And not just because of what you're wearing. What type of energy is that? Are you competing? If me, right, right. What kind of what energy are you wearing? Men, in large, men love to compete, right? So if I'm getting competitive energy from a woman, from one standpoint, for me, it's gonna feel like dissonance because
men like to compete in healthy ways.
Right, because we know that at some point when it becomes physical,
it's destructive.
It's destructive, right? So we know where the boundaries are with that. With women, I've experienced women.
Huh? You don't have no code. Women don't have code.
No, and or the code that's being functioned on, or the code that's being run is based on the outcomes of what men have done, without understanding the variables of what men had to consider.
Men would never. We would never have had an interview that contentious.
Hell no.
I left a comment on it, and they said it wasn't an interview, and I'm like, well, I'm confused now. You know what I'm saying? So,
what is she?
But let's finish watching the video.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so we can, finish breaking down what we think. What is it that we think we saw?
No.
You don't want nobody to love on you.
I actually received that. You love on me.
But this nigga, what the fuck?
I mean, this is the dirty. This is the
baby.
Dirty
Spoken word artist is something, ain't they?
I'm not speaking.
This man, he gonna go and write this shit. He finna put a whole beat behind everything that he said by 6 p.m. midnight. You a wild boy.
Listen, we're talking.
You are wild.
You love on me with your words,
you
and your consideration, and your presence.
You so wild.
Go ahead.
Is
it okay for me to accept the love that you share with me?
He wild as fuck, y'all. It's a story behind this. He gonna play in my face, but there's some fear. There's a little boy in there that's fighting.
No,
and that's okay.
There's a little boy.
I'm gonna get you, little D.
There's a little boy.
We gonna get you, young D. You in there? You in there?
They stop calling me.
You in there? D. He in there. I see you, and it's fine.
Listen,
you can stay wrapped in your blanket.
I'm showing him to you.
Okay, I know it took a minute.
No.
He ain't even out yet. He just took his shoe off.
I'm saying to you, I don't have fear.
You have fear. You have fear of love.
No,
yes,
ma'am.
That's the fuck you do. You around all these women.
Pause it now. She's out of line.
Because if we were talking crazy about what's wrong with her,
she was in front of me and she told me, "Yes, the fuck you do." I'll be like, "Really, bitch? The fuck is up there? You ready to fight?" Like, I'm fighting some fights.
That's what I'm saying. Me and Derek would have never looked. I would have never looked at him and said anything like that. He never would have looked at me and said anything else. Like, it feels dirty. Well, a dirty bag, you know. but like, how rude, how inconsiderate, and is she a counselor, a therapist, or something, or anything like that?
Are you licensed to talk about his fears? And you're not entitled to his fucking anything, emotional processes, any of it. And she started off with "take the glasses on, I want to see in your soul." Bitch, you're not allowed even near it. Like, what are you talking about?
That's why I left a comment saying this is how black women talk to black men, like it's an interrogation. It's like getting pulled over by the police. Let me see your license, your insurance, where you going, where you came from, your license, the address on your license is the same place you live at. You know, I'm leaving you with a warning. You had a busted tail light. Go get that fixed. Go on about your day. Know all your business and don't even know why you needed it.
What's rather evident to me in this particular what we just watched is I said, "You love on me. I accept you loving me. The words that you say and what you share with me is how you love on me." And then to come back and hear that, and I'm only saying, you love on me. You love on me with your presence. I'm being present with her. I'm saying you love on me, and if this is the way you love, I accept. I get it. Not I accept it. Not whether I accept it or not. What I'm saying is I understand. If that's how you love, that's your love language. I can understand it. That don't mean I'm gonna speak it. And I know how to manage myself in a way that is healthy for me. Always. I'm gonna be healthy and safe. When I say healthy is like safe. You know, it's the same. I look at health as preventative, and safety as something that's preventative. If I know that there's a risk of me having cholesterol challenges, I'm going to change my diet. And that goes back to discipline, right? My discipline is I eat fruits, nuts, vegetables, and seeds. I don't eat it. No sugar, no processed sugar, no added sugar, no starch, no breads, no rice, no white potatoes. Like I don't even do that in my life. And I live a very disciplined life. I don't have no kids. It's not because I didn't do something or did do something besides make a choice. I'm very cognizant of why I have and don't have children. I mentioned I want to be a husband, and being a husband is one time, and being a father is one time for me. Even that was met with, "That's not true." All right. Obviously, there are different values. At that point, I also knew, I was like, "Oh, this is not going to get any better." But we can continue.
Yeah.
The abuse that you went through has come from women. So that right there is a whole. We ain't gonna touch it.
Like we can talk about facts, but I don't have to bring. We can talk.
You ain't gotta bring it up. I see.
No. We can talk about facts. I'm not opposed to talking about facts. I'm also saying that these experiences don't frame my perspective about what I know, what the little boy in me knows about women.
You hide behind your art, though.
I'm not hiding behind my art. If you listen to my song, Love Just Enough, I say, I love you just enough to believe you and everything that precedes you with confidence. I move so much that I trust me so that the overflow of that is loyalty. So even when it's uncomfortable, I know that it's me and you. Like I'm very, very clear. I'm very, very clear.
Okay.
We'll say I'm 40 something.
Okay.
I'm a single black man, no vaccine, no STDs, no kids, no debt.
You saying that you ain't sleeping with nobody?
What?
That's weird.
What? What? What?
Come forward, sis.
Weird.
Come forward. I can't wait to drop this clip. It's fine. Keep going.
Do I share dreams with women? I share dreams with women.
I bet you do.
That's where it's safest. That's where we can actually be free with each other. It's the idea.
What's your name, sis?
It's the idea.
Who he's stressing out?
The idea is let's get married and don't tell nobody.
Who stressed that? Oh Lord, that's that. Don't put my business on Instagram. Don't post no pictures of me.
No, that's about understanding.
Come forward, sis.
It's about understanding and making sure you're safe.
This is a safe space, sis. You could DM me.
Ain't nothing safe about this space.
Hey, listen, DM me too.
Oh, shit. It ain't gonna take.
Put us in a group.
It ain't gonna take much for me to figure it out. Just so we clear.
Put us in a group. Put us in a group, please.
Boy, you ain't fooling nobody. It's fine.
No, I'm serious. Who you know who you are?
Yeah, she does. Hi, said, hey girl, hey girl. Hey, listen, are you gonna be at the next spoken word? When is the next open mic night? When is it?
You know who
we're gonna find out. When is the next open mic night?
This Thursday.
Boy, by the time this come out, how often are we doing the open mic?
I'm doing the open mic. Poetically speaking, twice a month, and so we're gonna do some special some holiday pop-ups. And so anyway, just listen. Whoever you are, send us all a group.
Man, boy, look, he a Dallas boy, so we already know what time it is.
Listen, I am D-Walk.
And you need somebody to love on you.
I have someone. You loving on me.
Part 2 coming, y'all. Cause see, we just scratching it. It's taking a minute.
Did we even open the bag?
Everything is connected. I mean, we kind of are.
We open the bag.
A little bit. What is it? Let's sum it. What does it mean for D to clean out his dirty bag? What does it really mean? What does it look like?
It looks like me maintaining a level of vulnerability that is honest and accountable and willing to be wrong. I don't mind being wrong because I may have put something that was meant to be in one bag in another bag, and I've been looking for this, so I'm not afraid to look back into my bags. My bags are probably more messy than dirty, but there's a message that comes from that. You know what I'm saying? What, are you laughing? Why is she laughing?
I am D-Walk.
That's me.
Ladies and gentlemen, tell everybody how to find you.
Just look for you. DM her.
Don't you have these little girls in my DM?
No.
If I start getting a bunch of random follows after this,
listen,
and our only mutual is him.
So why? So let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
Instead of you saying, man, you're a single black man. You have no children, never been married, never proposed, never been engaged, no STDs, never took the vaccine. Why aren't you saying, ladies, this is a good man?
I feel like
wait,
I'm about to find them.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
But why did you not say, this is a solid guy? Y'all, ladies, get into my DMs if you're interested in him. Why? Like you didn't say that. You didn't say that. You said who you sleeping with, who doing this, who you.
First of all,
but then you talking about a Dallas guy. I'm a Dallas guy.
The fact that you made it clear that poetry is your bae, and that you focused on Z. I'm not gonna put nobody through. She ain't gonna be coming up to open mic night and you.
So you gonna talk
ducking
crazy
and dodging and zipping and dipping?
Oh, that's not what a man from Dallas would do. That's not what a man of intention would do.
Get the hell up out of here. Boy, you about to make a liar out of your damn self.
I don't do that. Why would you believe I do that?
The fact that you sat up here and said that you couldn't name one woman.
Because I don't need that from a woman.
It ain't about you needing, it's about why it doesn't exist. Why do you think it doesn't exist? Why do you keep women around you that don't ride for you?
It might exist. I just don't
You're a self-aware man, right? You would know.
What I'm saying.
What's her name right now? The same way you made me name somebody. Listen,
my mama died in 2008.
Okay. that would be the primary woman in your
Right.
life. Okay.
Gotcha.
Lost mine as well.
Gotcha. Right.
Outside of that.
There is no outside of that. That is with that.
Okay.
I don't have to look for that need from a woman.
So your friendships.
So I'm actually better. I don't have to worry about the mother-in-law and the not liking the woman and these types of things because I'm secure and certain about that relationship that existed with that woman.
The way we finna come back and do a whole segment on this because he playing in my whole ass face. And that's okay. The bag, sometimes it's a lot of zippers and things. You got to get through different departments. I'm aware that this bag is a little bit different than the ones that we've had here before. That's fine.
I like
time
Louis
for
Vuitton.
everything.
I like Louis Vuitton bags. Maybe do our bags match? As long as our bags match. Can we get matching bags? Even if they're dirty. They're just dirty on the outside because you done been through some things and you understand some things. I don't mind a dirty bag because we can get it clean.
I am D-Walk, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you guys for another episode of Dirty Bag Podcast. Whatever we got going on right here in these streets. Remember to wear your mask where applicable. Wash your hands, socially distance. When you get a free moment, please remember.
Woo! You gotta like say that after that, like energetically, like.
You know how many times I watched this?
Yeah, you watched it. How many times, Coach?
I watched it 3 times.
Wow.
In October, when he sent it to me.
Wow.
And he wanted my analysis of it to figure out what he could have done better. Mm-hmm. Then I looked at it and I looked at it and I looked at it and I was like, there's a couple different ways I can go with this. But then along comes Ashley. Then it makes more sense to discuss this with a woman. Because, yeah, we can call it for what it is, but my platform in Accountable Masculinity, one of the underlying things that I intend to do is end the gender war. I intend to end it. And in order to solve a problem, we first have to get comfortable with who are the people perpetuating the issue. We have to scrape away the usual suspects. Mm-hmm. We have to get those people out the mix. Who's responsible and who's not responsible? You know, we got to narrow down usual suspects, persons of interest, until we lock in on, well, what's the behavior? Then when you see the behavior, the activity, and the people associated with it, then we got a different conversation. You know, we can determine the white noise from the people that's actually, you know, causing the calamity, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And is somebody not being heard? Somebody's talking and not being heard.
I got my thoughts right here.
I see you. I see you.
I wrote them down.
Well, so let me do this. Let me go get, because I got 1%. Let me go get my charger.
Okay. Yeah. I intend to use my platform and influence and understanding of this media space to end the gender war. And part of wars being ended and, you know, changing and redirecting conflict is we got to find out why people are not being heard. Mm-hmm. And what's the issue? Well, everything is affiliated with that. And I can't help but understand and see who's trying to solve the problem and who's trying to bring more problems. So that's what a conflict is. We have to accept that the other person is not going to perfectly state everything that you will acknowledge as being fact. Because you don't have all of the experience that the other person has.
Right.
So you got to know your audience and you got to know who you're talking to. You know what I'm saying? You don't ask golf questions to a person that doesn't play golf and then and get mad when you don't get the answer that you want.
So this ties into counterfeit coaches and counterfeit celebrities, you know, because we have to understand we're getting a lot of our advice and guidance from social media because we didn't have parents to give and guide in those ways in interpersonal relationships. And for me and you, I feel like what we're doing is we're calling it a spade. We're calling it out. We're calling it out because until you have produced what you desire to help other people have, then you're only giving them a product. You're not the product. So what that means is the product is going to be counterfeit in some way, shape, or form. Because again, I'll give you an example. I was a dating relationship coach, but I wasn't married. What I know a lot, but I don't know enough to get you to the end goal through experience. So I'm gonna be missing parts, and those missing parts are where I'm gonna be counterfeit in, because now I gotta overcompensate for those things. So it's really important to know our audience. It's really important to know what level of understanding we have of ourselves, and not to try and, I know, Derek, you were well-intentioned, but not to try and, convince somebody of a reality that we experience when they already have decided for themselves they're not going to listen.
Yeah, they already got their version of the truth.
They made that up already. They already decided.
Yeah, like, and you just fit. That's why, like, they won't believe you when you say no. And the minute you say no about something, or you don't fit their divine design, it does something to them. They sit back and like, how dare you not fit into the script that I already put you into? How dare you not be how dare you be of moral character and fiber and not fit the villain in my story? The audacity of you to be an upstanding man. Are you crazy? You know how selfish you are?
Yeah, and man, it's not funny. It's not ironic. I've heard that. You're this old. You're just selfish. How could someone be, you know, as upstanding as you are, and not have a wife? Even in the interview, it was said, "You mean to tell me in 41 years you haven't found this?" It's like the shame of not being the stereotype.
Man, people get offended when you don't have kids.
Right. The shame of not being the stereotype, but also what comes with being the stereotype. Because I've said no. I remember there was a point when I was saying no to even having sex with women, some certain women. And then I heard Round, think Derek's gay, or there's questions about my sexuality. Because I have a level of responsibility to myself and accountability to myself that won't allow me to make decisions that put me in a place where I don't have control. Either I'm have control or walkaway power. And if my kids are involved, walking away is not it. I remember there was a really real point where I was sharing with women I was having sex with, or just be with intimately. Hey, if we get pregnant, I'm pursuing custodial guardianship on paper. I need that to be. You can't. I mean, I remember talking to one of my like former church members, family friend. Like, you can't take that baby away from that woman. Who said anything about taking? I said on paper, because I don't have any rights. I want to make sure that I have some rights as my child's father. I'm not unwilling to work out whatever we need to, because I know we can do that. But I don't want the court in my house, in my lifestyle. Nobody's going to run my house but me. That's why sometimes I don't have lasting relationships with women with children, because they have men who are in their lives who can actually run and dictate aspects of their life. I'm not competing with that. And it sounds very, very harsh. I'm just not in a space of competing for what's mine.
Period. I will ask you, do you feel like, because there is from a woman's perspective, when I hear a man is 41, hasn't had a marriage, kids aren't really like a thing. Like, fine, you hadn't had any kids. But a marriage implies that you have a certain set of interpersonal skills with the opposite sex. And marriage is also implying you have a certain level of commitment, that you're okay, like you've committed, right? In a matrimony, like in marriage, though, it's different than just having a relationship and committing in would you say, and this is a place where hopefully you'd be open, feel okay, basically saying, but you don't have to answer. Would you say that there is a level of like, I don't even want to take a chance because of just how you've seen and experienced women and Black women in particular?
Without a doubt, no.
No.
Nah. I mean, have you ever had like you went to a great what's your favorite restaurant?
I don't have
Whatever it is. Have you ever had a bad meal at your favorite restaurant?
actually Thai bistro. No.
Right? Okay, right? Okay. Well shit. I guess what my point is, because I use anecdotes and story. I use
Yeah.
stories. I'm a storyteller. Right. But no, my view of who that woman is with me is not lost. It's not skewed because I've had and experienced some unfortunate and unexpected situations. It didn't work out. The benefit I think that exists is that my not working out doesn't carry with me. It's not in my bags.
Okay, and it didn't work out in terms of how, if you don't mind sharing.
Me, I make the wife. I didn't see someone who was ready to step into that space with me. And the ones I did anticipate were able to eventually left and really got married. If I'm really honest. I've made so many women wives who didn't marry me that it's I can probably, you know, have a whole wedding ceremony with all of them.
You know,
But
it's really.
go ahead.
So
Yeah.
what it sounds, 'cause for me, it sounds like you built women and prepared them for other men. So you feel like, because for women, we'll call a man like a Build-A-Bear, and I'm used to those.
Yeah.
But you know, does that apply for men? Like you build women up and
No, well,
prepare them for others?
I think it can apply. It didn't apply to me. I wasn't building a bear. I wasn't building a woman.
Okay.
I function as I function. For
Yeah.
me, family is very important and centric. For me, there are values that exist within how decisions are made. I've had women have abortions or terminate pregnancies while we relationship. You're not doing it without talking with me, right? So if we're together, for me, making decisions to making I don't say if it's something that impacts me, I need to be included in that. If I'm not, I very well see that how I know that at scale I can't function with the way you make decisions.
Right.
One young lady, we were living together. I realized alcoholism was real. I addressed it, and it became a challenge. What I've dealt with, if there's a trauma that I've dealt with, is that women are competing with me, or I don't do something the way they want me to, and they think I did it against them. If there's like a history, but those are not women who listen. A woman doesn't make me a husband. I make her a wife. So my functioning as a husband is to be accountable, to be responsible, to be provide provisions. If I can't do that for myself and with myself, and I can't do it with you. Like if I can't have a reasonable conversation with you, I can't share bills and responsibilities with you.
Well, would you say when you make a wife, then she makes you a husband equally, and that's a together moment, or no?
No. Um, look, it's the same. So, oh man, a man makes a woman pregnant, right? Now, in nature, we're talking about nature,
Right.
right? She can't be pregnant before he impregnates her.
Right. So
So
first you make her a wife, but then when she's a wife, isn't she also creating you? You know, she's making you a husband. That
right. So no. So I have to function as a husband. So I have to see her in her wife mode in order to see her. So even like biblically say the man who finds the wife, I have to find a wife. I have to see a wife in you exist. If I don't see it exist, it's not gonna show up when I show up. So I have to see that, meaning I have to be that husband. I have to be the responsible. I have to be accountable. I have to be mature. I have to be safe. I have to be these things for myself first. So that when she sees me, she understands who I am and is gonna fall into alignment. because that's the way nature facilitates, like birth. A man makes her a mother through birth, and then they share this thing together. So I even look at marriage as, if you having children together is really what marriage is, because you can't divorce that, you can't undo that. So the way having children is, that's the way I see marriage. It's not getting a divorce. I get one time to do it. Now, if we go into polyamory and polygamy and things like that, that's another conversation. That's a whole nother part of the world. I am saying that I get the chance to make a decision about how I want to function in this life, and how I get to share it, and how I, yeah, I mean, listen, what works? My parents were married for over 30 years before my mom passed. I've seen what relationships can look like. I've been part of it. I've also experienced, because my mom passed, I also experienced having a one-parent household. Torturous at every age. It's torture. And not because somebody cheated or did something wrong. My mom died.
And how old were you?
I was 25. So I graduated college, I think it was like 24, 25.
So that means that you were living with your parents after 25. I mean, your dad after 25. For how long?
I was living. So I went. So I mean, I don't know time. I graduated from college 2006. I graduated from college. My mom was forced to retire in 2005 because she had some health challenges. My plans to come back to Dallas did not exist. I was next on the list to give my mom a kidney. Um, her that May, we went through the process through June, found out that her blood cells attacked mine, and I was, it changed my life. And I was about to go back to Penn State and go do the rest of my life and live the rest of my life. Um, at that point, my sister was accepted to nursing school, and just my mom and I understood the challenges of being away from home and having a parent in the midst of a health crisis. It's challenging. It's very, very challenging. So part of the not agreement, but like, it was, Derek, stick around. We're gonna get, your sister gonna get out of school. You're gonna do your thing. We got you. Family, family, family. She passed 2008.
Wow.
Right. My sister graduated college the next month.
Mm-hmm.
My priority was my mom and taking care of that. I had a relationship, didn't really go as planned, just because I was working through just re-understanding what was happening. And I'm still very pragmatic. I'm very honest. I'm very, I'm all of those things. Just didn't work out. Kind of forgot where we're going with this story, but
I just want to ask one more question. So it
Mhm.
sounds like you were raised in a two-parent household for your entire, to be honest, all the way up until 25. That's adulthood. That's young adulthood.
Right.
So
Yeah.
when it comes to your dad, I don't really hear you mention him a lot. Was he, a big influence to you and things like that? Or was it your mom? Was she the head of the household and she was more of an influence to you?
My dad was an influence. He's still an influence. And my mom is an influence. We have different relationships. They are both baby boomers. And we know about baby boomers. My dad was a network engineer, and I had access to internet and Wi-Fi in the 90s. My mom was a school teacher. My dad, because my mom was teaching school, was active in my education. He was present for certain things. He came to career day and all kind of stuff, which is fine. What's probably not talked about is having parents, but then your dad works all the time.
Oh, so he wasn't really that present.
No, he was very present, and he worked all the time, because those were the values. Black men's contribution to society was, you work and you take care of your family, not yourself. I saw that. It doesn't work for me.
Okay.
Right? Because I saw the sacrifices that were made. I saw how much it hurt him, and I not just hurt him, impacted him. I've learned a lot from that. I also recognize that he stuck with a woman in the midst of health crisis, when He easily could have left. And I've seen other types of men in situations like that beyond
Plenty of men that leave when somebody's in a health crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, and I'll be honest, man, that's a lot. It's a lot. So my perspective about responsibility and commitment far exceeds a late paid bill or cheating. Like, is that the worst thing that's going on in relationships that's causing families to be not together? Cheating? Is cheating the worst thing? Come on, y'all. So yeah, I've got values and I got a particular experience as it relates to that, and my dad and our relationship is still evolving. He still has opinions of me that don't align with what reality are. Right? And that simply comes, one is the time of him growing up and what he's been able to benefit. He benefited from tokenism. He benefited from affirmative action. I've never benefited from it. So even the conversations we have about particular experiences, they're not, they're different. And if they're different. And so I can understand how it's been a benefit for him. And I see how education system was the worst thing for me that failed me. Because most of the experience and most of the abuse I've experienced has come from women. I said it very clearly.
Right.
Most of the experiences I've experienced come from women.
That's kind of where I was wanting to segue into, and then how that impacted your music. Because I know we were going to talk about that, and obviously, and then close out. But it sounds like you have a high level of respect for your mom, but it's kind of wavery in terms of your dad. Not saying you don't respect him, but there's like a high regard when you talk about your mom,
It's not lesser or more from that standpoint. And our relationship is different. Like, it's different. I mean, the things that my mom value, I actually learned that my dad doesn't value the same way.
And would you say you more aligned with what she values?
For the most part, yeah. Some of it is how she grew up, how I learned, how she engaged with me, and really, it's still what we're talking about. Is still just the dynamic between the mother and son, and the father and the son, and just the And I've got a sister who's younger than me, who's 2 years younger than me, and got two nephews. She's married, right? Like there are dynamics that are at play beyond what the perception is. Because I'm also the same student who I lived in one part of Dallas, and it was common for my friends to have two parents. But I grew up and played football and my extracurricular activities around people who didn't have two parents. So when my dad would show up at school, they thought he was a drug dealer because he wore gold chains. But then when my dad was showing up to me at football practice with my teammates, I would get talked about because they ain't have no dad, and I did. So I've always had to live in this space of recognizing, just the duality of code switching. Is meaning not just code switching, but I've had to understand the code beyond what my code was that worked for me. So I've been able to adopt and adapt with understanding. I understand what a traumatic mindset is. Oh, I know what I remember saying this in a conversation recently. I said, that's a broke people mindset. Somebody money and don't have to. I said, no. It's not about money. This is poor, passing on opportunities repeatedly. This is a poor mindset, right? So I can write and produce and perform and create because I have these understandings of code all the way around.
Ooh, that one right there.
What happened?
Passing over opportunities
repeatedly. I had to write that down.
Yeah, right. Because I look and say, man, you had one child in high school, and before you graduate, you got another child, and then now you're going to college, but you got another child. Okay, there's something that you keep repeating that you're passing on that you're not recognizing that should be considered. Now, that doesn't mean your life is over. It also means that there may be some challenges or some opportunities or some decisions that you got to make because your circumstance is changing. And if you keep moving in this way, it's going to be harmful for you and harder for you. It's only hard if you're doing it wrong.
Right.
There have been situations I just haven't done wrong. They just didn't work.
So you're not assuming any accountability for the trajectory of it?
Of what? What's the it? Of not being married?
No, of it not working. You said you've been in situations that you weren't wrong. It just didn't work. So you created that situation, right? The relationship, dynamic, connection, whatever. And you participated in some way. So there's nothing wrong in terms of like opportunity.
Yeah, just a mistake that was made. So something that didn't work, I can make a mistake. That doesn't mean I did something wrong. So by going into an interview with a young lady and wanting to have a conversation about my art, it's not wrong. The mistake was continuing when I didn't necessarily have to, right?
Staying too long,
Staying too long,
like
which
any
now that
relationship.
right, and it's no. Now, if we want to talk about staying too long, I've stayed too long. If those are mistakes I've made, I've stayed too long. But also, well, not also, some of that comes because I know where my level of commitment is. I know that, oh, this right now is not always right. I know, oh, it's tight right now, but and I'm committed with you. Try having a committed relationship with someone who has doubt every time something seems like it's not right. And in my certain circumstance, I did subject myself to harm and danger because I did stay around too long. But because I thought I could outgood it, I thought if I make reasonable decisions, if I could do well, if I could prepare and do this, things are going to work out. That's just not accurate, and not because I made a mistake or because I did something wrong. It doesn't work that way. And so when the idea of growing up as a kid in the '90s with baby boomer parents, Vic, I know you.
Wait for you to come back. Yeah, like a lot of the generation of men that you're talking to for the most part, Ashley, and the guys that's in their late 30s, early to mid 40s, he had a lot of yes men because you didn't grow up in a household where you got to say why or how come. You just got told what to do. You know what I'm saying? And then you know how you talked about like your situation with your parents, you was kind of just out there just doing whatever you wanted to do and figuring it out as you went. Whereas like there's a bunch of men, like nobody's been told no more than men. And do as I say and not as I do. Because they're a lot of our fathers were raised the same way. See, our generation of fathers was raised by grandmothers.
That's the
So
thing. Yeah. My
so
dad was raised by his mom, my grandmother.
see,
And
so
it's the yes men dilemma because they weren't able to have a voice in their upbringing, and they were normally raised more so with the mom in the house because the father was out there working, so they
yep.
lacked structure, boundaries, and discipline. And I will say that we have to acknowledge that that has really impacted the Black community.
There was a book written by Dr. Franklin Frazier called
Yeah.
The Black Bourgeoisie. It was published in 1957. Um, and he, from whatever I've seen, he's also one of the founders of Howard University, by the way. Um, so from what he saw was third generation sharecroppers and the academic elite mulatto population starting to get blended together, and it went from the aristocratic Black people that cared about running society, STEM, education, academics, to later being meshed with sharecroppers, children of sharecroppers from freed slaves and descendants of, right? And then over time, he documented how it diluted the the pool of sophistication of what Black people were believed to be by that time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and one of the segments that was in there in that book, it specified that they had made the man subservient to the woman in the South, that she was running the household. They didn't have places for men to work. She was, you know what I'm saying, basically a caretaker for a husband. So that's why you'll see a lot of old black and white photos. There be family pictures, and where the man would normally be standing by the chair, and you know what I'm saying, you got the wife in the chair with the kids and stuff. Yeah. The man was sitting there. So the imagery and the symbolism in that is very powerful back then. You know what I'm saying? It's still powerful now because we can look back and see everything that I'm talking about. But this stuff has been written. The same issues that we have with worshiping entertainers and you know, in entertainment, the media space, they had the same problems back then too. They said conversations went from solving problems about medicine issues and politics to being caught up in listening to the latest color commentary about the baseball game over the radio, you know? So they were documenting the same things that we're seeing now in 4K on our phones. So this huge disconnect and lack of respect comes from a lack of understanding of how much black men specifically, because we don't own any systems.
But the social belief is that all men have the same access, without the fact or realization that black men being black makes a difference as a man in America. That's so when men are presented as this thing, it's not based on black men, it's based on white men, the ideology, right? So even now, looking at these age groups of the baby boomers and then the silent generation, which is my grandparents, you know, my grandmother's she's 93 today. I just talked with her. And I remember and I got a documented conversation of her saying, we didn't do this thing right.
It's plenty of people from that era that's saying we messed up.
We messed up. And the messed up was believing that integration was going to be better. Because black men and black women ran their households and society. Black men, my grandfather, my dad's father was a minister. He's one of the first Black United Methodist ministers and one of the first few blacks to graduate from SMU, Perkins School of Theology, Southern Methodist University, which is historically white. Yeah, and a big deal, for sure, without a doubt. Right? Also, my dad growing up in an integrated church was a new experience for him. But he also can recognize when he went to the black school, and he knows the difference between integration and not. And so there were lots of benefits for those groups who were able to be integrated and accept the ideal of this ideology of integration and things being equal and being better. I recently had a conversation with my dad and said, "Oh, it's better. And I said, "Brother, it's not necessarily." Yeah, and so even as we talk about technology and advancements in technology, everything has not just been, you know, the way we have access to information is different. I mean, even us growing up, Miss Ashley Marie, I presume you're not 40.
No, I'm 28.
Right? Really? You got some time on you. Okay. But right, so like the men who grew up between 30 and 45, well, we'll just say 35 and 45. Cable television raised us.
Yeah.
Right. So I learned about sex watching real sex. Not that it was porn, but it was really teaching about sex. Right? That didn't happen, you know, that didn't happen the same way as my parents growing up. Right? Yeah. How do we, you know,
I was left have less education about it than even our generation. So we have not had an open and honest exchange about how did our community become so overmothered and underfathered.
And some of it because there were benefits for the father not to be there.
Well, got that part. But what I mean is I'm talking about based on behavior. I am only talking about behavior. You know, our community, no community has been more bastardized and emasculated than the Black community. You know what I'm saying? None. Not to the detriment. Like every other community has experienced the same thing, but we wear the hurt way differently. You know, that's why, like, when we talking about single mother population, they're not talking about no other demographic but ours.
Yeah.
And yeah, when they talk about they talk about specifically Black single mother home ownership. That is a thing. And it's at 54%. So 54% of homes, women are the head of household in the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a matriarchal divide.
We don't have enough nuclear families.
So there's a completely different demographic over the remainder of our population, which makes up 46% based on what I'm talking about now, right? Are raised with men in the household. 54%, the majority that's ran by mothers, right? Don't have men in the household. So we're going to run into situations where we're communicating and you're not going to understand why this person is not receiving you.
Yeah.
They don't understand that it comes from a competitive side of the family. So you get a lot of friction.
I think, can I say this as a single Black mother? And I'm the typical. I have the government assistance, I have the child, I have the whole list, okay? For a long time, I think I was really codependent, and I assumed it was the man's responsibility to take care of me, whether that was my dad, the man that I bear a child with, whomever I was dating a relationship with. I think that women lack accountability because they still perceive that it is the man's job to take care of them as if they're babies, right? And so they have a lot of anger and resentment because they really do believe that they need a savior. And a lot of these women go to Jesus and, just these, pastors, so that way that can replace, or even God, as their only masculine protection or experience. And so I want to say that I grew up catered around so I have a white family. So my grandmother is blonde hair, blue eyes. She's European, German, as well as Polish. And then my Black family, the angry Black woman is in every single woman in that side. My aunts, my grandmother, all of it. So even if I decided to have any, I remember I got into an actual altercation with my aunt, and she was degrading me just because I wanted to say, let's all be loved, let's all be balanced, let's all, and she's like, no, we need to just worry about us and the Black community and stuff like that. And I was just like, well, what if I fell in love with a white guy, or and at the time I was a Bible thumping Christian, and I was just like, let's love everybody and all races and all cultures. And she was still focused on no unity. No unity is in her language and all of that. So again, two things. We think, at that stage, I thought I needed a savior because I was really codependent. And then two, I was trained to compete and be combative. I was trained to think independent and not unified.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. So when you get an overmothered society, you got aunts and women that you should be able to go to for counsel. You would think that is a huge assumption that they care, but the truth is
they don't.
They don't care, and they have the same insecurities as you, and they feel guilty for being seen the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're competing off of shame. That's why I wrote something called Traumanomics. And it is an unhealthy, it's the best way I can describe an unhealthy competition between people that trauma bond with each other, because it's like now you got to compete. My trauma is bigger than your trauma. You know,
yes.
And that's the currency that women share with each other.
I legitimately do not have a female relationship in my life, and never had, that didn't exist with trauma bonding. I actually have never experienced that. In fact, the only male relationship I've ever experienced that's not trauma bonding is with you, Coach.
Come on, man. Like, I'm telling you, because when you're a woman and you are groomed to devalue and emasculate men, you don't even know you're doing it.
Right.
So the term groomed is far more accurate than trained.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And you're socially rewarded by that. You're rewarded socially as so even the reward psychology that's being utilized for that is meandering into the idea of putting you above. So you do get in combat, you compete.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the antithesis of working together.
Mm-hmm.
That so even kind of go back, because I really want to kind of respond more to what you said. It just I'm in reflection of what we were talking about with my family. Is I do recognize in relationships it's got to be fluid. The man doesn't only take care of this and the woman only does this. If those are the only two options, you're missing the opportunity of the option of seeing what you both can do and contribute to each other and with each other. So there was a moment where my dad was making more. And my mom was making less, but also my dad was like working in technology and he had to do some other things, not because he didn't want to be present, but they didn't have email. So he had to actually fly to Chicago to do things, right? Or he had to fly to somewhere. So even the perception of the father relationship based on trauma, like, yes, trauma can exist. And really, is trauma, and let's talk about it as drama too, because a lot of this trauma is not really trauma, it's drama, it's BS.
I agree with that. It's poor conflict resolution skills. That's ultimately what it is. That's all of our points of contention are based on poor conflict resolution skills, a lack of transparency, a lack of ownership, a lack of honesty, a lying by omission, not apologizing. The inability to apologize is killing our women. It's killing the relationships with our women. It's you don't see the women in your family have the same conflicts as the men in your family.
I don't.
Nah.
And the women are creating the conflicts between where a man would have to,
because it's been rewarded socially.
Yes.
Right. That's how it is. It's not good enough anymore.
Well, and even so, as we look at social spaces, if we go like, and I use it as a reference because I had grandparents. My grandmother was born in 1914. My grandfather was born in 1919. I spent an enormous amount of time with them on a ranch and watching their dynamic, and not just even, yes, I was young and also was very, very fully aware of how it worked. Is that whoever did what well, whoever did that thing better did that. My grandmother didn't slop the hogs better than my grandfather did, but but my grandfather wasn't cooking no pot roast with some, with baked with potatoes and green beans and sweet potatoes and cornbread. Like we have to be in a position of where we not just look at the outcomes of what we've seen as success, but look at the variables that contribute to that. I can't look at I can't. It would be unfair for me to expect you to do something that's not realistic. Like I remember there was a young lady we were dating and living together, and I was sharing with her. She was an attorney. I was working as a club promoter at the time, so my money it wasn't bad money or not. It was just based on how the market performed.
Right, up and down.
Right. And we were talking about potentially having children. And I was saying, I'm not opposed to being a stay-at-home father. And she looked at me as if I wanted to be a mooch. And I'm saying, no, the first 3 years of being a parent, we need to spend with our child. If that means we got to get on government assistance to do that, that's fine. Growing up for us, I'll say for me, government assistance was seen as something that you made a mistake. and now you have to be provided government assistance. That ain't no different than having a tax reprieve or getting bailed out by the government in a bankruptcy. A government assistance should allow you to take care of what your priorities are, which are your family. But when the priorities have been made to be success and wealth and stuff and things and brunches and bubbles and all, we're gonna have what we're experiencing because the values have been rewarded for the bad behavior. Oh, bad behavior has been rewarded. You know, in the office, it's glass ceilings, but at home, it's glass doors. How many? When you went to your grandparents, did you go to grandma's house or grandpa's house for the holiday?
Grandma.
Grandma. Now, grandpa was working his ass off. Grandpa was out in the streets paying and paying. He bought the house, but whose house is it? Grandma's house. And if that man comes into that kitchen during the holidays, what's she telling me when they come in the kitchen? Get out of my kitchen. Now let's imagine how that looks in society.
Throughout every society.
Through every society. I'm talking about outside. Right? There's this idea of equity being expected without realizing the quality of what is possible. So there was a fight for equality without recognizing the benefit of the quality that could exist between the two people there. I'm not saying everything was correct in the outside. I'm not saying everything wrong on the inside. I am saying that there are dynamics that we need to address on all sides, because what's right, like, so even, oh gosh, even from a certain standpoint, even as whether we agree with the Constitution or not, it says domestic tranquility. Domestic means family. What we've been talking about are social policies and social welfare and all these things in social space, but we're not taking care of home. We're not taking care of the family. So when you have a situation where you've got people who are benefiting from being a part of a society that doesn't contribute back to the family, you're going to have this separation because certain behavior is rewarded. You're rewarded when Black men were attending college and universities more than Black women. There was never a conversation about how Black women need to do better and catch up.
Right. But can I say this?
Sure.
It's not supposed to have a better conversation about how women need to catch up, because one of the things that I know now is a man is sovereign. A man that's okay, and no offense to you, we can agree to disagree, but that's okay with getting on government assistance and, you know, having the woman working and building all that kind of stuff. Here's the thing with that. Okay. First of all, a woman's physical body cannot take the same level of stress that a man can. Okay. So it is to her benefit not to be the one going out there making all this money and then having to come home because there's other responsibilities in the house that she has to take care of too. That's a lot on her body. I'm coming from also a place of, I've been with men that I've tried all of that. Like literally the last guy I was with, I have the government assistance, I have my voucher, the rent's paid for, and no offense to him, but he still lives with his mother. He's 43 and he wanted to move in. So, but I'm going to be honest, even the respect. So we're talking biologically, we're not built for the same kind of stresses on our bodies. We also go through hormonal changes and shifts, but also respect. The person that makes the least amount of resources cannot make the rules. I don't care how much, ideologies of, oh, I love this man goes. He can't tell me no if I'm the one taking care of him, really, because I am. Right? In terms of the resources. So, and another thing is, resources isn't just about money. It's about how well they can problem solve. I can't rely on you to problem solve, meaning you don't have connections with people that are in high enough places to even get us out of a situation that we might need help in. And now you're relying on the woman. See, that's when a woman is the head of the household. And that's where we get it wrong.
That's out of order. Sorry, it's out of order.
Yeah, it's out of order.
It's out of order. Even if you make the most, who makes the most money, more resources don't make things better.
No.
Right?
I never said
resources is
about the points I was mentioning.
Yeah, resources is intangible. Okay, it's not just. I want to level set that. Because our community keeps getting tangled up around money. You know what I'm saying? We want to equate everything that gives authority to a competitive conversation about who makes the most money
and who has power.
Yeah, but because plenty of money to be made, but we're still not making better decisions because you don't have a disciplined mindset to make the right decision. If you come in from an unhealthy competitive mindset, then you're going to only use your money to buy trinkets and vanity and invest in showmanship. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And this is why we have to make decisions without money anyway, because we don't have as much as we should have, right? So you're making problem-solving conversations to break through to get to the best version of yourself. So resources is about problem-solving skills.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. And the guy that doesn't have a lot of resources don't have a lot of problem-solving skills. It's just attached. It's not it's not usually they don't, because they feel powerless in terms of even promoting themselves at a job, asking for a promotion, putting themselves and asserting themselves in situations like they're connected. Money and the ability to problem solve is connected, because when you problem solve, you make lots of money. People pay you for the quality or amount of problems that you solve. If you solve, like let's say corporate America, you solve in sales and marketing and a janitorial job, you're solving different sets of problems. So you're going to be paid.
Solutions-based thinkers. Solutions-based thinkers is what she's talking about. Not every person is here to solve problems. Not every person.
I got you.
Solutions-based thinkers are compensated for their problem-solving abilities.
Yes.
Not every person is meant to solve problems the same tier. You're still responsible for solving your own immediate issues and things of that nature. You know, that's just what goes with the territory. But the men that fall into the leadership category, that do all of the preventative stuff, things that keep things centered and balanced, and everyone in that particular place, and keep things in order. You can't do that without, you're not going to get to the money without a degree of discipline. Yeah. You're not going to solve problems without patience. Patience is discipline.
Right.
Everything that leads to critical thinking requires discipline. So the undisciplined people that care about the trinkets and the vanity
are usually broke, or they're just rich broke, right? Yep. You know what I mean? So
yeah. So I think where I was hearing a shift in the conversation was related to like who has, if you're with someone and you're saying who has more or who has less to determine who has the rights or authority, I'm not sure that's sustainable long term. I do understand it. I know how it works. And that's mostly a Eurocentric way of seeing things, or not. Let me pull it back. That's an individualistic way of seeing things. Because
I would say it's about being complementary and not competitive.
Yeah.
Yes. So whatever the more is or whatever the less is, they should be able to work together. I think that's the working premise of what I'm hearing from what you're saying, Ashley.
Yes.
As it relates to where things land. So even as the example I was sharing about I'll stay at home, but then even when you shared about just different situations that women have to deal with from a nature standpoint, is leaning into the strengths of what can work with an opportunity to be in a space where we can be within order and the nature of what's happening.
And let me use this whole this imagery that we got right now with us up on the screen, this platform, Ashley, and you as a guest, Derek. I may have 5 buttons to push to make all of this work and to make it look the way that it does. It's clearly more than that, you know what I'm saying? Because when you're designing graphics, moving stuff around, republishing things, you've published some streams, you've worked with some of this equipment. This is engineering and production. But we're reluctant to call it that because it's just software and we click it and we kind of like know how to use and go around it. But to someone else that's watching this, they have no idea. It looks way more complicated than what it actually is. So I'm the resource when it comes down to that. So for those of you watching that want to get on camera or something, hit me up, and I'm already set up, and we can negotiate. We can do some business. You know what I'm saying? But see, I'm in position because I don't just know how to use it. I already have it, and I already have an outline, a strategy. You know what I'm saying? Things of that nature. Those are problem-solving tools that go along with it.
Oh, the tools, right?
And the balance piece comes in. Since I've done all of these things, the part that makes this platform a home is the added piece of the accountable femininity part, where Ashley represents that, and she gets to ask the right kind of questions that I may not even be thinking of, and it facilitates the perspective from the woman's point of view, because this platform doesn't just counsel and teach men. It is here to represent the cheat code for women to understand men.
Yeah.
If they want, the biggest thing is, if you want to be with like-minded people, the best thing that captures whether or not you're like-minded is your behavior and your outcomes. Your outcomes reflect your behavior. So we have to distinguish the disciplined people from the undisciplined people. And that's relative to the way that you carry a conversation that sets the platform for you to receive information and then have the motivation to go apply it to your everyday life and change your own outcomes yourself. Because everyone has to fix themselves first. You want to fix everything underneath your individual roof. Well, fix the thing that's underneath this roof first.
Yeah.
Then fix the behaviors that come from underneath this thought, this thing where all of your actions get processed as being logical for you to do. But are you thinking with undisciplined logic or disciplined logic? Once you fix that, you don't have to worry about walking around in fear of someone doing something to you. That's victimhood.
Yes.
That's paying property taxes in victimhood. That is a loser mindset. And those people are not the ones that solve problems. They cause them. So you have to, that's what I'm talking about, because there's plenty of people that make money, but money doesn't solve problems. I know where you was trying to go with that, to capture that piece right there. Some people only have enough information to make selfish decisions that look like solutions.
Right. And I will say this, the fact that you said you're in charge of all the production, imagine me having to be in charge of that. I'm not effeminate. It brings me out of that. And that's what I want to say is, it brings a woman out of her natural state to be, because she has to do so much. And so she's thinking and compartmentalizing, and that's in a masculine energetic. So it's to my benefit to not, again, I also feel like I want to bring this back. Women running their own businesses, I don't really feel like that's benefiting us as a whole, especially the Black community. And I'll say this, if I'm honest, I'd rather manage a man's vision than lead my own. Okay? So, and I know what that's like to lead my own and to now be managing a man's vision. That's the only reason why I can talk like this, because I know the difference. I've been there. And what I'm getting at too, if a man doesn't have a vision and he's at home, then she got to go lead. And that's what I mean, is it brings her out of the natural state to be a great manager, right? Because I know how to multitask. I know how to, make you visible. I know how to get into conversations and spaces. Let's just say, for the sake of the conversation, the next guy that I date is a real estate, investor, right? And baby, okay, you put up, you need me to help, big up your vision. All right, well, I'm going to have the relationship, because the women, okay, what's in society, they give you the approval of stamp to everybody else, right? That's why you see a lot of bullshit in society going on, because we're okay in the bullshit, right? So that's all I'm saying is, coming from that place, I prefer to have a man that's established in this vision so that I can be in my proper energy.
And his vision, that's you said that. You know what, the other part about seeing and understanding a man's vision is that it's not just what you see right now.
That's what vision's about, down the road.
Vision is down the road and around the corner.
And what I'll say is, I'm not going to be, however, in certain points on the road, right? Because then again, you bleeding on me. So it's more beneficial for you to be farther along so that I actually have something of substance to multiply. If we at the starting point, or maybe even in the middle, and we're not at a place where it's a, see, if Victor
are we talking about business, or are we talking about building a family?
All of it's the same. It's the same energy.
Well, I will. Yeah.
And
let me listen.
As a married man, that this is where I feel like you have to speak from experience on this right here, because it's very dangerous what people hear. And I'll say this from a married man's perspective. The level of protection and the level of cleanup is different for both the man and the woman. The woman that wants to enhance, she's coming in to enhance. You're supposed to be here to enhance each other. I'm supposed to enhance her comfort, and she's supposed to enhance what I'm already doing. So a man already has to be doing something. This is why I tell women all the time, stop dating men on their potential. Date men based on what he's already created for himself.
If he hasn't created enough, his apartment, right? Sustainable income, right? No, ma'am, you're not coming in here and trying to replace so that you can have, no.
Because men look at her, we look at a woman's resume. We look at what women, like if they have kids, if they have, what, like if
they slept with, what's they,
I mean, like some men are gonna go more in depth than whatever, but it's foolish because men don't get promotions and opportunities based on potential. And the truth is, past performance is an indication of your success in the future. So this is why a lot of women end up in Build-A-Bear situations, because you already got this silhouette of where this guy's supposed to fit in your life, and you just so happen that he make your coochie tingle, and then he come along like, well, I'm gonna mold him into this right here because I like him and he like me, and then he ends up
where abusive women come into play, because that is very fucking manipulative. Any woman that's with a Build-A-Bear, I'm gonna be honest, or with a man that is not established, is manipulating him.
Break that down for the people that's listening, because I love the way you told me this from your lips to my ear. When I heard this, I knew that was the case, but it hits different when you hear a woman say it.
See, we're manipulative if we're deciding to build up a man that don't have already for himself, because in essence,
keep going. I'm still here.
I'm like, where did you go? In essence, we're really allowing that man in our space because we want a dependent. We don't want a head. We want a fucking dependent. Okay? We want another child. We want an esteem. We want a gold badge of honor because we built him up. It's just another version of a mother abusing a person. And so, second of all, we do this because we fear abandonment. So that's the human side, right? The ego side is we're manipulating, but the human side is we fear abandonment. We don't want that disconnect of connection. So any attachment for us is love, even if it's unhealthy attachment. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that's in essence what's going on with any woman that is building a man. If you are not illuminating his already established self with, again, his home, his home and his sustainable income. I don't have to say 100K a year, 50,000. I don't need to put a number on it, but sustainable income, right? That feeds himself and all that. If you're not able to meet a man at that point, then don't even date him. Don't even talk to him. Don't try to validate yourself by how well you're going to be able to fix and mold this man. In fact, ma'am, you should be looking for a man that not only has all that, but can cultivate you, because I see it this way. You see, okay, for instance, I'm a little bit overweight, right? And say I meet a guy, I would want him to be like, whether or not we go work out together, whether or not he wants to go pay for a gym membership, but in essence, you got to cultivate the kind of woman you want to see. That's a man's job to do that, not a woman's job to try and, because again, we come into him as he is the country. And we have our visas and we're visiting. You know what I mean? But it's his bylaws. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. Completely be uncovered then. Because at the end of the day, when you truly need somebody to be there for you and to protect you, that man, because you in essence are the head, you won't have it.
Yep. Because why would he want to come in?
You've trained his thought process to be, oh, you take care of me, you take care of me, you take care of me. So why would that? And then you expect a man to be there for you and be dependable. Man, it doesn't work that way.
That's not an attractive situation for a man in most cases, you know, like not for a disciplined man, not for a masculine man. And the only men that are masculine are disciplined men. The only feminine women are disciplined women. We think about it, right? That why would we go? Nobody should want to be with somebody that they have to tame.
Woo! Literally.
All right, thank you for joining Accountable Masculinity. That's today's episode. No, you're right. You're right, and that. So even as the conversation, I know I'm not making it about me, and I do recall certain points. So like when there was conversations about why I'm not this and why I'm not doing this, is I realized at some point my discipline didn't align with someone else's discipline, and I knew it wasn't gonna. I knew it wasn't worth trying to develop that with them. Or it got to a point where it was harmful or it wasn't. It didn't. I mean, and I can only tell you the amount of relationships I've had where it becomes competitive within the relationship, and it's like, and I'm talking about intimate, romantic, bro, like platonic. It's just like, why are we competing? You know, and if you believe I'm going to do something or have the intention to do something to cause you harm, why are you around me? That's undisciplined.
It's literally the same energy. Like, like for instance, right? You know, a lot of men and women are in competitive relationships that really amount to just being toxic, right? And in that, it's I make more money than you, you make more money than me, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. Very, very surface level. But what a lot of women don't understand is that men don't hang around men that act like that. So why would we be in a romantic relationship with a woman that act like that?
And I can tell you why. It's because men. Go ahead.
I want that to simmer for a second, because you'll hear women say to men, he need to get up here on this level, or he need to come up here over here, whatever, right? And in the minute that man, because I've coached and counseled men that's trying to figure out why they having the exchanges that they're having with their women. Okay, that's where this is coming from. And I asked a simple question. I said, how would you behave with your guys? Men don't one up each other, not trustworthy men. And generally speaking, we believe in healthy competition. Like if we out at the gym or something like that, and I got my numbers over here, you got your numbers over there, cool. If it's something you great at, teach me. We submit to higher understanding, something that's bigger than us. Women do not think that there's something bigger than them. Undisciplined women don't. They worship. They make decisions based on vanity. And we're talking about the undisciplined men and women that fit this behavior. You see what I'm saying? So when you recognize that in a woman, it's repulsive. It's like, I'm with a dude. How did she trick me? You know what I'm saying? So because it's the attitude, because the world doesn't make you feminine. The world makes you masculine.
And that's what I'm saying. Going back to having to be the head of the, making the money and the vision, all that kind of stuff. It's masculine energy. Like, for instance, content creation, right? And let's just say I'm on a stage with other content creators. There's a competition. Listen, out there in the world and out there in the home is different. The home, you get to just be. But when you're out there independently by yourself and you're a woman and a woman that's not covered as well, you got a lot more to prove, you feel, you know? And then you just got so much masculine energy because to sell and market, you can't be like, well, can you buy my product, please? You gotta be like, well, listen.
Oh, you can. You can do that. You can do it that way.
You can. I'm just saying, generally speaking, right?
Yeah.
You do have to assert yourself to be able to be respected, right, in the marketplace and whatever that you're selling and stuff like that. So again, it brings me back to I don't want to sell and be the one that's in charge of the money and all that, because like even when me and Vic, coach, me and him were working together. When we first started, I was the head of my business. I had a business. I was dating a relationship coach, and I was just like, "Oh, you can come on a line with me and all that." And he was like, "Ma'am, I'm not here to do that, ma'am. I have my own vision." And he taught me submission without asserting that and demanding it. And it was
he did it. I'm sure he did it. It was the way that worked. You were willing to listen.
Yeah,
and you and I not to just cut you off. I'm really affirming you were willing to be quiet. That femininity is being quiet.
It's passive.
It really is. It's intentional.
I don't even say that, bro.
Tell me what you say.
I think being disciplined is knowing when to speak. Being disciplined is speaking when spoken to. See, because the stigma that's associated with women being quiet is too territorial, is too tumultuous, is too difficult. It's got too much negative connotation to it.
Yeah, you're right.
So all those hard conversations like submission and all that stuff, I'm telling you that men submit to women. Because like she's talking about her submission to my vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't tell you that the first week. Well, she captured it in like very, very short.
Because
she was going to break it down.
When we started, he was okaying collaborating in a way that I wanted to. But it wasn't until I finally was like, "Fuck, I don't want to do this like this, though." And if I'm honest, I want to be a wife. Can I be honest with you? I want to be a wife. Let me go get a job.
You want to be a wife.
It was self-honesty, you know what I mean? But he, again, I think allowing women to figure out like, nah, you don't really want that, but not saying you don't want that is a big deal. And I think more women want that than them saying, "Oh, this and this," and pointing fingers and stuff like that. There's a repeat.
Which is why I talk so much about discipline, because to be patient, you have to have discipline.
Yeah, you were patient.
She has her own energetic way of communicating why she's excited. So I have to learn how she expresses her excitement. Then when she gets over the initial adrenaline rush and says, "I don't want to do this, not this way," then that's when I come in and I level set things and I ask a couple of questions to see how far she's willing to go with that excitement. Then I can tell if the excitement is dead, and then you have to be in receive mode as a man first, because the women, you're there for the boundary. So you got to give her the space to express everything that needs to be said within the left and right limitations. You know what I'm saying? You bring the box. Let her scribble in the box, scribble outside the lines, and all of that stuff, right? Then after it makes sense, whatever makes sense that she really wants to do, you have to have enough savvy and interpersonal skills to do that. So that requires patience. You cannot have anything without discipline that's worth having. That's why I don't have to raise my voice. I'm like, yeah, you'll be done in a second, because ultimately it's going to come back down to, how did you express yourself? What was the discipline that you was thinking with? What, like, you know how people say I wasn't in my right mind?
Yeah, what was the mindset?
Yeah, like literally people are thinking with their sexual organs. That's the only thing that explains the decisions that they make.
Yeah. Can I say something just to
come on, Ashley, what you got?
So I think it's what you're saying, men submitting to women. I think there's another word would be not appeasing, but like only the disciplined woman you can do that with.
Yes.
Because I'm going to eventually come to my senses. You understand? I'm going to eventually be like, I don't really like this. And because he was a safe place, because he didn't just assert and compete and have to be right, I'm all right with bending. I'm all right with finally coming to this place and going, you know what, he was right. There's another moment where I had posted something on a woman's page, and I posted it because I was angry. She's a counterfeit coach, and it reminded me of my own trauma with my mom. And this just happened like 2 days ago. Okay, and I told Victor, and I sent the coach, and I sent the screenshot and everything like that. And you know what he said to me? He's like, he was okaying it. He was saying, yeah, you know, because it's true. She's a counterfeit coach. But the next day I had sent it to him, I felt guilty about it. I felt something inside. And when I told him, I was like, something, he said, you spoke when you wasn't, speak when spoken to is the rule, is the code. And I spoke when I wasn't spoken to. And I felt embarrassed. And he said, you actually just feel embarrassed right now. But he didn't say that last night when I was in my, you know what I mean? He gives me room to do that. And then when I'm come to my senses, because I'm a disciplined woman, he goes, I know. That's really what it is. That's different. That is different. That's a masculine man.
Can I ask you?
Yeah.
Why is the da an option?
Well, I'm not going to say I'm a woman, but generally speaking, I'm emotionally driven, right? So in a moment, I don't have objectivity the same way a man does. And so in that moment, I'm going, but I'm obviously not going to go and create chaos. This is another thing. That was a moment where I said a comment, and even the comment that I said wasn't no comment. It was just like, I don't think you need to be doing this, because it was a post about I'm not even going to go into it, but
yeah, I get it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I had attacked her or anything, he would have told me at that point, nah, you shouldn't. You know what I mean? But again, it's context is important. But I will say, to answer your question, is I am a woman. Sometimes I lack objectivity, and that's not for a man to go, you lack objectivity in that moment, because I'm a disciplined woman. I'm going to get to that point. But give me the benefit of the doubt. Don't treat me like a little girl. Treat me like a woman that's just having a moment. And then I'll eventually see it. And because you was a safe place, I'll go, hey, I don't feel this. And then I start crying, and I can cry to you now. Now you're somebody I can go, you know what? I can be embarrassed and not feel like I got a defense and talk about, I could have sent him a long paragraph about, no, coach, I don't feel embarrassed. But I said, you know what? Fucking right.
So this is wonderful. What if you know that you have emotional based decision making, and you know that you're not objective? What's the thing that a person can say to you to remind you that they may be looking at it from a perspective to support you and advocate for you in a way that's not the same?
Speak when spoken to, number one. But two, you have to know the right moment. See, words.
So I'm saying, no, I got you. I'm saying, in the right moment, what are the words that a man can say to you that shift, that lift your consciousness to be aware of things that you didn't prioritize?
I don't need a man to shift my consciousness until I give him permission to actually lead in that way. Because when I sent it to him the day after, that's when I was like, hey, coach, it was still bothering me. That's when I'm seeking his counsel. You don't just say it because you know better.
I got you. I'm understanding clearly what you're saying. Okay. My question is, what
are you looking for, like a safe word or a trigger word?
Is there, like, right? I'm being very literal about this. What is the group of words or phrases or moments that let a man know that it's safe to speak with you about perspective that could be beneficial to you?
Well, first I have to trust him. It kind of boils down to that.
So let's say you do.
Let's assume all that's done.
Okay.
All those things, right? What is the thing that he can say to? Do you know what he can say to you that will shift your consciousness?
Shift my consciousness in terms of like that opportunity when I realized it was really embarrassment.
Well, let me give you an example. Let's do a situation right here, Derek.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give me a situation.
We're going into some meeting, right? And we got a plan A, B, and C. Mm-hmm. If person at the table gives us any of these buzzwords that we agree on, then we're gonna kind of like look at each other and then say it might be time for a cigar.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? That way, then we from that point on, once we use that technique and we sharpen it, every time we walk into a situation where if the place is not, if the deal don't make sense, then we say we're going to go have a cigar, right? That's our agreement to let the other person know that I see something that you don't see.
Right.
So in that same situation, the cigar is the safe word for us, right? So Ashley, he's asking you for simulation's sakes, what would be an acceptable word, safe word for you that I can tell you and say, let's say I put the cigar, you know what I'm saying?
So it's not even really a word because you can't say, oh, this word works for everybody, right? I will say, because words and meanings have different meanings for everybody. I will say, when
this is for you. I'm saying what works for you.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a particular word he said. It was when he saw me internalizing rejection that he said, no, it's not that, it's this. So I was saying, because I was mad and I'm like, see, you know, I don't know why I brought it up again. Obviously, I was feeling really bad about it. And I was like, you know what? He was telling me about how, you know, I don't know. I was really going in a circle around how it was me and I have all this healing I need to do and I'm not good enough because I have my own internal things. I'm human and I get in moments where I'm overwhelmed and he goes, no. He gets me out of it and he goes, no. He points out what it is. Because in that moment, I'm just in this whole world and I'm not objective. And he goes, no, this is what it is. So he told me, no, you actually feel ashamed. But I can only really listen to a man, honestly, that I feel what he says is it, right? Like I have to trust his word enough to be able to go, what? His evaluation of my situation. See, I didn't grow up with parents. I grew up with friends. And my parents were.
See, that's the other variable. That's the variable right there that you have to talk about the most because it's an assumption that most men and women grew up with healthy parents, you know, and see, that's why it's such an obstacle to overcome and explaining how to deal with your emotions because that rejection, that shame, that guilt, because the truth is you have to listen. Like if you're going to say I'm your coach and if I'm not paying attention to the person that I'm counseling or consulting, right? Mm-hmm. I know what they care about the most. So most of their behavior is going to pivot off most of their behaviors, the outcomes and the action that they take and the activities they participate in is going to pivot off of the thing that they're trying to overcome, not overcompensate, but overcome, trying to transmute that bad energy that used to have them in and out of conflicts with people that don't matter. And then when you start trying to become more disciplined and you switch your mind, you start seeing old versions of what you used to be attracted to for conflict. Mm-hmm. And then you can't let it go because you can see that person is a counterfeit. You can see him.
Can I say this? Another thing is, Coach didn't allow me to manipulate him. When I first met him, I had the version of me that was manipulative, that was a Build-A-Bear with a Build-A-Bear, right? I'm going to be honest with you. I led with my desirability. This season right now, I'm working on my sexual discipline, my pleasure-focused discipline. So get in that gym, even when, see, don't smoke no more weed, right? Done with that, right? Certain eating habits, just sexual discipline is action-oriented discipline, right? So for me, I had the EQ, I think a lot of it, but I had obviously everybody got room for emotional discipline and intelligence. But ultimately, I still led with I attached my desirability to protection. So I thought, well, I'm not saying I flirted or anything like that, but like I tried to cross the boundaries, and he's like, "No, man, you ain't replacing my wife. You don't got shit on." He didn't let it happen. He never competed with me. He never had to prove nothing to me. He was solid. And now I can really listen to his leadership, because a man that allows a woman to manipulate him in any kind of way and do whatever she want to do because whatever reason is not a man that a woman is really going to value what he says, period, because you let me manipulate you.
It's the same way that when women give it up on the first night and they feel like they getting discarded by a guy that they thought was gonna respect them. It's the same thing. See, their victories seem small to you, but it is a big deal to them because of the way that they're wired. They're wired to use their vanity, because their vanity is a weapon. And without discipline, it's not even a weapon until you have discipline. See, you just got something to shoot. It's like the difference between a person that can load a gun and shoot. That don't mean they train. They're much different than somebody that's like the police that goes to an academy to learn how to, shoot tactically. Sure, you know how to fire a weapon, but do you know how to wait until you got eyes on guys that just shoot everywhere and they think they'll shoot it because they'll go just shoot up the block or whatever? Can you maintain your discipline and your composure until you get eyes on what you shooting at? That's fear for a lot of people, because you got to look death in the eye.
And I'll say this too. I did need an example of a man that I was led by that I couldn't exchange my vagina with. See, a lot of women don't have a male figure in their life that don't want nothing from them but to see them win and to see them taken care of. They want something else too. And I didn't have that. So for me, I'm so glad he's married, because I don't even know if this would have even went down this way. You understand? And I'm not saying he would allow, I'm just saying my mindset, it would have been an opportunity for that. And the fact that there is not, this is really important. And I think a lot of women need a stepdad, in essence, to step in where your father did. Because now they're putting a lot of that pressure on their romantic partners, because they don't have a man that don't want their pussy and that they just want the best interest for them.
Yep. And that's why, like,
hire coach, y'all.
Come get me. Like that. There's a lot of money to be made in stepdaddy consulting. You know what I'm saying? It truly is, because one of the things that she highlighted is that, you like that? You like that right there? Stepdaddy consulting.
Bro.
We need to be reparented. We need refresher training. Like you ever work someplace and you got like these certificates that you got to have, and then they send you to some kind of refresher training every so often. If parenting is a skill, don't you need refresher training?
Yeah.
And we don't. All of us don't have grandparents that can come in and coach us either. You know what I'm saying? Or if we got parents that haven't dealt with their own, traumas and issues that would get resolved in therapy, So it's up to us to take care of us. That's still not an excuse. We got to take care of ourselves individually. So I go to therapy twice a month, been doing that for, like 3 years now, off and on. Well, because of the pandemic and all that stuff kind of disrupted some things. But like for the last 18 months, yeah, for sure. You know what I'm saying?
And I just got a male therapist. I didn't even know I need one. See, coach is a coach, is the fathering. The therapist is the mothering. Tell me about that. Tell me about that process. Cry with me. See, coach ain't gonna be sitting here, he's not gonna let me.
Hey, like you done? You shut that weak shit up. You know what I'm saying?
And
Let's get back to
I know we are going almost at 2 hours, so I don't want to drag it. But the last thing I'm going to say is this: his no is why I respect him, not his yes. You know, and there.
That's what's up. I dig that. And I know you wrote a whole bunch of notes. I still want to talk about the album, but I know we get time. I don't know what the time looking like.
We
veered off.
For sure. I need to know about your album. I'm gonna listen to it prior so that I.
You haven't we need to. Yeah, I appreciate the dialogue and the opportunity to have a conversation. This is dope. And this gives this is why I'm interested to do it, to be able to have dialogue and conversation without it being combative, to share perspectives. Because there's some things I considered, I reconsider now because of hearing and having the dialogue. And there's some things that I stand on and remain because that's what works for me at this point. I'm also willing to be wrong about what I know. And I'm willing to learn that what I know has other levels to it and depths to it. So being able to do that is really good. I appreciate the chance to kind of have my art reviewed and inspected and deconstructed and misinterpreted and all of the things. And listen, go be inspired before leaving Earth, if nothing else, on all your platforms and streaming. Miss Ashley Marie, I would love for you to just, if you got time, listen to it tonight. And just send a brother a note, you know what I'm saying? Okay. And because I really know that it's something that's beneficial. I'm not saying I have the correct answers. I'm just sharing something that I have an idea that could work. And so I just dig y'all again. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, I am going to leave us with at least one of these beautiful songs off the album, so you can see what it looks like and listen to some.
Is there any song you would want us to play that you?
Yeah, what do you think the audience needs to hear right now?
Oh, oh man, I don't know. Man. So Love Just Enough keeps coming up, but also I keep seeing let's go So It Sides.
Okay.
So It Sides.
Oh, why did it do all of that?
I want to come with me. And any song that you play, like on the like, it's one of the best albums I've ever heard, and not just saying it because I produced it.
Yeah, let me. We just got to the next stop, so
I'm going over here first. This is what you said. This is what we're gonna play.
So it's sides to this. This right here is for the poet who never wrote. It's for the poet who never spoke. It's even for the ones who can but don't. It's for the kids who knew themselves better than their parents did but never had the confidence to tell them. For that husband or wife who makes sure the ones they love are well taken care of. It's for the cheerleader who is looking for someone to cheer with her. That nephew who really has a clue, not lost like you, but respectfully biding his time for him to do everything inside of his wonderful mind. It's for all the ones who finally committed to something. It wasn't ideal for everyone else because the final choice made was always theirs. I know, listen, this might be odd, but the power, the strength, the might to reach above themselves and make the choice to turn off that light. No more suffering. No more living hungry. No more feeling lonely. Now, for those who are still here and feeling alone, who reached for that switch and could not fully commit, I love you. Because the truth is, you could never forget. The fact is, it's always an option that lives. And till this day, well, you've chosen what's best for another moment and the desire for what's next. Listen, I know life be lifing and people be peopling, but just to know you are here under the sound of my voice, from me to you, I'm glad you made the best choice, because either way, whichever side you choose, you've got to live with it.
This is why I say you got to choose discipline, because there's sides to this. So which side you gonna choose? Huh?
That was so good. Thank you for blessing us with that. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to go and listen to it on my own.
Yeah,
it's a good watch, man. It's a good listen. And I said it's watch Aaronly, but it's a lot of visuals in the way that he delivers. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, and I relate to that, because you have to use people's experiences to tell the right story, and that's what I do in my coaching. That's how I was able to help, Ashley, and countless other people to get to that same understanding, and that's where this comes from. This right here, accountable masculinity, because I've been on both sides of everything that I talk about. Okay, there's a difference between sympathizing and empathizing.
Yes.
And the things that we can't control, those are things you're supposed to pray about. the things that you can sympathize with doesn't necessarily mean you can empathize with them. Like, we both can break a leg. We can agree that that's an experience that we both share. It's a shared experience, maybe not at the same time, but similar, outcome, right? But if I've watched you fail, that don't necessarily mean I understand your failure. It doesn't necessarily mean that anybody's going to be able to sympathize. They might sympathize, but they can't empathize because they didn't go through it. So we got to stop going through the negative experiences with each other and start setting conditions to go through positive experiences with each other, So we got to start empathizing with trauma. So with that being said, I'm your host, Victor Venzion, with Mr. Accountable Masculinity, my counterpart, co-host
Ashley with Accountable.
And we have had a great time talking to Mr. Derek Walker. I am D Walk. You guys go to the link in the chat. At least listen to it on YouTube. Check out his work. And we will come back and do an album review. And get you to break down what we need to be listening for when we're hearing this thing. So this is Accountable Masculinity. And we out. Stay backstage.